Hey everyone, this is Joe. I am the digital astronomer. We are slap bang in the middle of galaxy season 2021. And here recently, I've gotten to capture about 5 hours of data on the Leo Triplet. And so, what I want to do today is show you where this fascinating set of galaxies is at in the night sky. And I want to look at each one of those galaxies that make up this phenomenal triplet. Stick around, I'll be right back. Okay, before I go over and talk a little bit about the Leo triplet, I want to take a minute and answer a question that I've gotten asked about my autofocusing. As you might know, with my Orion ED 80 T, I have been using a ZWO EAF autofocuser. And a couple of people have sent me messages and asked me about my settings. And so I wanted to show those to you really quickly. For my Orion ED80T, I discovered that my backlash in and out was about 70. And what I did was I went on and read the instruction manual for the ZWO EAF and followed their process for measuring backlash, which is really pretty easy. All you've got to do is basically once you've set your step size is you've just got to count how many times you hit your button to move the focuser in or out and before it actually moves, and then you can calculate the backlash in and out. But there are some other settings, and so I'm just going to run them through with you real quick. I set my autofocus method to star HFR, my autofocus curve fitting to trends and parabolic. The number of attempts I've set it to. And then what I've done is I've set the outer crop and the inner crop ratio. Basically, what this does is allow me to not use the very middle of my sensor for autofocusing. And the reason for that is if you have a very bright galaxy, the core of a galaxy, or some very bright object in the center of your picture, you really don't want the autofocuser to be calculating that in. You want it to use the stars out around the edge. And so what I found is that setting the outer crop ratio to 0.7 and 0.2, it works perfectly. Left the binning at 1, focuser settle time at 1. The autofocus number of frames per point, you might be able to get away with using just 1. I find that by taking 2 images per focuser point and then it averages those, I get a little bit better focus on my setup. So anyways, that's my setup for the and one other thing is the backlash compensation method is set to absolute. Now, I do this a little bit differently for my Celestron 6-inch. Let me load that profile and I'll show you what I mean by that. If I go over here for my Celestron 6 SCT with the Celestron electronic focuser, everything else is set up exactly the same. The only thing is I use the backlash compensation method. I've switched it to overshoot, and then I've put my backlash in and out at 100. Now, some of you are going to say, why did you put the backlash in? Why did you set that number instead of putting it at out? Most of the time, for most focusers, you're going to want to put your compensation over here in the out. The reason you have to do this for the Celestron is the Celestron actually does this backwards. And it took me a long time to figure that out. But anyways, I wanted to show you those real quick. I hope that's helpful. If you're setting up an autofocuser, that's the settings I use. If they're helpful, great. If not, get ready because we're going to talk about the object here in just a moment. But let's move over and talk a little bit about the Leo triplet now. All right, I'm over here in Stellarium now. I'm looking towards the east-southeast, and the easiest way to find the Leo triplet is, first of all, find the constellation Leo. You can see here, this is the star Denebula. This is Regulus. Um, what I try to look for, if I'm trying to find Leo, that's usually the first star I can see is Regulus. That's pretty easy to find. Come down here, find Denebula, and then I just try to look for the head. I look for this little triangle. If I continue to zoom in, you will see that the Leo triplet is literally right under the head of Leo. So if I find this third star in this triangle, Chertan, then I can zoom in here and I can find the Hamburger Galaxy M65, M66. I would call your attention, though, something that's very interesting here is that you'll notice that all of these little red circles here that's marked IC 2694, 2708, all of these little red ovals and orange ovals, all of these are small galaxies. So you can see we're looking into an area of the night sky that is absolutely slap bang full of all kinds of galaxies. Now, let's go over and look at the Leo triplet here for just a moment. And let me tell you a little bit about that. This entire group is known as the M66 group, the Messier 66 group. Now, like human beings, galaxies generally do not live by themselves. They are found in groups. A lot of these are very, very large groups, for instance, Markarian's chain. But there are also superclusters of galaxies that are literally made up of hundreds and even thousands of galaxies that are all, interacting together in some way. Now, these three galaxies that make this particular group are also interacting with one another. What's interesting about them is that even though they're in very close proximity to one another, galactically speaking, they're about 35 million light years away from the Earth, and yet each one of these galaxies is very unique. For instance, let's go up here and zoom in on M65. Messier 65 is an intermediate spiral galaxy. It was discovered by Charles Messier in 1780. In fact, as you might imagine, he discovered both M65 and M66 on the very same night. More than likely, they were in his same field of view. Now, what's interesting about this is this has a diameter of about 90,000 light years, and it's moving away from us at 807 kilometers per second. But I want you to notice something. It is made up of a very tightly bound spiral arms. In other words, this is kind of the classic spiral shape that we would think about when we see galaxies. Nice and tight spiral arms. But this is a galaxy that really is nearing the end of its life, if you will. Most of the stars in this galaxy are very old. In fact, astronomers tell us there is a much higher ratio of old stars to new stars in this galaxy than what we would normally find. And one of the reasons for that is this galaxy has used up almost all of its dust and gas. And therefore, there is very little new star formation happening inside of this galaxy. Now, if we go down here and compare that to M66, we can immediately see there's a difference. First of all, these spiral arms are not as nearly as tightly wound as the ones in M65. So right away you can see that we have a difference. Not only that, notice the pinks and the blues that are showing up inside of this galaxy. All of that is indicative of new star formation. Whereas this galaxy is not making hardly any new stars, this galaxy is making quite a few new stars. So again, they're bound together. They're in the same family, in the same region of the sky, about the same distance from us. yet two very, very different galaxies. Now, if we go over here and we pull in NGC 3628, this is the Hamburger galaxy. Now, this is an unbarred spiral galaxy, even though I did read a couple of articles this week on this galaxy that did suggest that there may actually be a bar there after all. But uh, generally, this is considered to be an unbarred spiral galaxy. It was discovered in 1784 by William Herschel. And that amazes me. I can't imagine. It shocks me that Messier, having found these two galaxies that are close together, didn't move his telescope just a very, very short distance over here and capture NGC 3628. It surprises me that he didn't find the Hamburger galaxy, but he didn't. That had to wait for 4 more years before William Herschel would tune in and he would find this. Now, what's interesting here is that, again, the that we see some new star formation happening here. And what's most obvious about this galaxy is a beautiful dust lane that we see going right through the middle of the galaxy. And of course, we're getting a very different view. Whereas here, we're seeing more of the surface features of these two galaxies. We're seeing this galaxy edge on. And so we get this very, very unique picture of the Hamburger galaxy. Well, again, every time I look at these galaxies, I'm always amazed at just the incredible, just the incredible fact that 35 million light years ago, 35 million years ago, rather, light was sent out from these three galaxies, and it just arrived a week or two ago into my telescope so that we could look at this. Anyways, the Leo galaxy, the Leo Triplet, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful set of galaxies, and just a wonderful, wonderful object in the night sky. I hope you get a chance to go out and take a look at it. Next week, I'm going to have more images, more to tell you about galaxy season. So I hope that if you enjoyed this video, you'll tune in and subscribe to my channel and share it with some of your friends. Thank you for tuning in today. Just a quick reminder, if you enjoyed this video, please help support me by clicking on thumbs up and share. Thank you.